We can also use those identities for tangent and secant and cotangent and cosecant to simplify expressions that involve trig functions. All right, so like for example, in this first one, we have the cosecant divided by the cotangent. All right, now we can simplify that if we just write everything in terms of sine and cosine, right? So we know that the cosecant is 1 over the sine of theta, right? And then we have this big fraction bar here, and the cotangent is cosine of theta over sine of theta. Okay. Now we have a complex fraction. We have a fraction within a fraction. So we're going to simplify that. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to write, I'm going to keep the numerator, 1 over sine of theta. And I'm going to multiply that by the reciprocal of the denominator, sine of theta over cosine of theta. Okay. Now notice if I multiply those out, I'm going to have a factor of sine in both the numerator and the denominator, right? So I'm just going to, I can just cancel those out. Sine of theta divided by sine of theta is just 1. And so what am I left with? I'm left with just 1 over cosine of theta. And the cosine of theta can be written as secant of theta. Okay, so we can reduce that whole expression down to just secant of theta. So in these types of problems, the best thing is just to write everything in terms of sine and cosine, and then see you just manipulate it algebraically. All right, so the next one we have secant of theta times cotangent of theta. So let's start by rewriting this in terms of sine of theta and cosine of theta. So secant of theta is 1 over cosine of theta, and the cotangent is cosine of theta over the sine of theta. All right, so notice again, we have cosine in the numerator and a cosine in the denominator. So cosine divided by cosine is just 1. And we're just going to get 1 over sine of theta. So it looks like, kind of like the other one. Only now we're left with 1 over sine of theta. And we can rewrite the 1 over sine of theta as cosecant of theta. There we go. So so that whole thing reduces down to just the cosecant of theta. All right, I'll meet you in the next video.